For the last 500 years, the most powerful nations on Earth have risen to incredible heights and then fallen, almost like clockwork. But what if it wasn't random? What if it was a predictable cycle? Well, today, we're diving into that exact idea, one that's been mapped out by the legendary investor Ray Dalio, to try and understand where the world might be heading next.
Okay, so check this out. Dalio's research found this incredible 500-year pattern showing that global dominance is never, ever permanent. For instance, back in the 1600s, it was all about the Dutch Empire. The world literally ran on their currency, the guilder. Then power shifted over to the British Empire, and suddenly the pound was the global standard. And of course, after World War II in 1945, the American empire took the lead, and the US dollar has been king ever since. The pattern is just so clear, which brings us to the really big question. Are we living through another one of those massive transitions right now?
Dalio didn't just spot this pattern, he actually broke it down into what he calls the big cycle. He figured out that every major empire seems to go through 6 distinct stages, from its birth all the way to its decline. It's a really powerful way to look at history, and maybe, just maybe, our own future.
What's so amazing about this is how it turns centuries of super complicated history into a pretty straightforward process. It all kicks off in stage 1, right after a huge war, when a new power gets to set the rules. That leads to stages 2 and 3, the rise, where you see strong systems and this golden age of peace and prosperity. But of course, the cycle always turns. Stage 4 is when things start to get shaky. The boom creates these huge wealth gaps and crazy financial bubbles. And that decay really picks up speed in stage 5, with serious money problems and bitter fights at home. And finally, stage 6, that's the breaking point, where the whole thing can explode into a civil war or revolution, which then clears the way for a new power to rise up and, you guessed it, start the cycle all over again.
A huge piece of this whole cycle comes down to one thing: the reserve currency. Basically, the country that wins the last big war gets to make its money the world's money. It's what everyone uses for international trade. Think of it like this: it's the financial version of English being the global language. And having that power, well, it gives the ruling empire a massive, massive economic advantage. So all of this brings us to the million-dollar question, right? Where does the United States fit into this historical cycle today? Well, according to Dalio's data, the U.S. is sitting squarely in stage 5.
And let's remember what stage 5 really means. This is the period after the peak. It's not the rise anymore. It's defined by 2 major symptoms. 1, serious financial strain. And 2, really deep, intense conflict inside the country. These are the classic red flags that an empire is in decline.
Now look, this isn't just a theory or a gut feeling. Dalio backs it all up with hard, measurable data. He points to 3 specific signals that are flashing bright red, showing that a great power has entered this really difficult 5th stage. So let's break down what those signals are for the United States. First up, the financial picture. The country is spending way more money than it's bringing in, and that has created an absolutely staggering mountain of national debt. To deal with it, the government has had to print unbelievable amounts of money. And when you do that, it just makes the money already out there worth less. The second signal is severe conflict at home. I mean, the political gap between the left and the right in America, it's not a gap anymore, it's a chasm. And this isn't just about politicians yelling at each other. The hostility has reached a pretty terrifying level. A survey Dalio often points to found that 15% of people on both sides wish that people from the other political party would, quote, just die. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's how deep the division has become. And the third signal? The rise of a powerful external competitor. So while the U.S. is wrestling with its debt and all this internal division, China has been rapidly building its strength. It's now dominating global trade and is running with a very focused, centralized national plan. As Dalio notes, the trade war, the tech war, the capital war, these aren't things that might happen. They are already well underway, setting the stage for a major rivalry. Okay, so if we really are in one of these great transition periods, what in the world does that mean for your finances? Dalio actually offers some very clear, straightforward advice on how you can protect your wealth during what could be a really turbulent economic shift. His most famous piece of advice is, well, it's incredibly blunt. He says that in an environment where governments are printing mountains of money to cover their debts, just holding on to cash is a losing game. Why? Because its value is constantly getting eaten away by inflation. Here's a simple way to think about it.
That $100 bill in your wallet looks exactly the same as it did last year. But as prices for everything go up, it buys you less and less. A full cart of groceries one year, half empty one the next. Just by sitting in a bank account, your money is losing its power.
So if cash is trash, where do you find safety? Dalia's answer is to think like an empire builder. You have to invest in assets that can actually weather the storm. He suggests they need to pass 3 key tests. First, do they have a strong balance sheet? Meaning, do they earn more than they spend? Second, are they in a safe and stable location, not somewhere with a ton of internal conflict? And third, are they geopolitically neutral? Located in a country that isn't at the very center of a potential global conflict. And all of this leaves us with a fundamental question, doesn't it? We've seen this cycle repeat itself for 500 years, from the Dutch to the British to the Americans. Is this time really going to be different? Now, history is a guide, it's not destiny, but ignoring its lessons is a huge risk. At the end of the day, understanding this cycle isn't about predicting the future, it's about preparing for it.